The reason they did not arrest Puffy until recently, because they could have arrested him then, is they wanted to wait and save this for a time they needed to distract the black public away from something that they didn't need us getting involved in. The reason he got arrested now is because we're 6 weeks away from the presidential election, and Black America was tearing Kamala Harris's ass up looking for presidential accountability. They were all over Kamala Harris. She couldn't answer no questions. She didn't want to do no interviews. And so the power structure said, let's get him right now. We need something we can throw at Black America. We know they're emotional. We know they care more about hip hop than anything else in their community. Okay, what can we throw Black America to get them off of Kamala Harris's back? Let's throw them Puff. And if you notice, Art, ever since Kamala decided to seek the presidential nomination when Joe Biden stepped down, every conversation in Black Twitter, Black Facebook, Black Instagram, Black TikTok, Black YouTube, everything has been about what? The presidential election. Trump, Kamala, Kamala, Trump. That's all we've been talking about until they arrested Puff. Now go on Black Twitter. Now go on Black Instagram. Now go on Black YouTube. Nobody's talking about Kamala too much no more. Everybody's worried about Puff. That's exactly what they wanted to do. Distract Black America away from the presidential election by throwing them the Puffy lynching so we can get Kamala to the finish line.
So I just noticed something when I was listening to this again. It sounds like he's trying to say that Black people don't want Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, to be the president. That's what I'm getting from it. Do y'all get that? I don't know. That's what I get the second time I'm hearing it. He's saying that Black people were questioning of Kamala Harris. I wasn't questioning of nobody. A lot of the Black people saying that they're not going to vote because they see neither one of the parties. They're not talking about the most important things. And this longshoreman situation, this brings light to what's going on in the United States. You know, the immigration is another topic that people talked about. It's not just about, like I say, it's not just about voting. It's about what can these people do as to fix the economy right now. The economy is down in the dumps, and nobody wants to admit it. It's down in the dumps. Nobody cares about Hollywood. It's more of you know, we knew that Diddy was what was going on with Diddy lyrics. We want to know what's going to happen. It's nothing wrong with listening to celebrity gossip, but yeah, you do need to be aware of what's going on around you. And one of the things that I'll be talking about today, or I probably already put it, I don't know if I put this at the beginning or the end of the video, is about the longshoremen. This is very important. Like I state, you can vote for whoever you want, but is the problems going to be fixed? You know, is the economy going to get better? Is the technology going to continue to keep taking over? Is more of our jobs going across the sea? You know, with this the longshoreman strike, the dock worker strike, how much is this going to affect us? You know, so we can sit here and talk about distractions, but we need to be really having real discussions about what we're being distracted from, Dr. Umar, like your school, for example. I already talked about that already in the video already. But about your school. Education is something too that is very important. You know, if we can't sit here and talk about, because I think he said last year or 2 years back about his school again. And it's like we can't just keep sitting here talking about you're gonna build a school and we haven't seen it yet. And this is very important. Like I state, a lot of children they don't care about going to school. All they care about is their cell phones and making a TikTok video. That's all they care about. They don't care about these longshoremen. They don't understand that these longshoremen are the ones that's bringing the technology to you. That's, you know, if your stuff needs to be delivered, medicine, clothes, food is very important. So I just really hate these discussions about distraction, and they never tell you what we're distracted from. That's all I want to bring out again. Hey y'all, what's up? What's up? It's your girl here, MJ's Nia. Welcome to the channel. Yes, we're going to be talking about the longshoremen, the ones that's working at the docks, how it will affect us. This will hurt us because we need food, we need medicine, we need supplies, we need everything. These people are very super important. So I'm going to start off with some videos. It was like 15, I think it was like 5 days ago. The union president, he was talking about, while the strike is going on, those companies still going to be making money regardless. And that's the sad part about the situation. So it's going to be us that's going to suffer. But we're going to get into that later on. Let me play this video for you guys.
Mark my words. We'll shut them down October 1st if we don't get the kind of wages we deserve.
Members of the International Longshoremen's Association went on strike after the union wasn't able to reach what they considered an acceptable deal with the U.S. Maritime Alliance. Picketers were reportedly seen in Boston, marching to Conley Terminal after both sides were unable to come to an agreement. The Teamsters posted on X expressing solidarity with the ILA. The current work stoppage is due to the expiration of the previous 6-year agreement between the U.S. Maritime Alliance and the ILA union. Currently, there are more than 45,000 union members who work at 36 ports throughout the country. The stalemate between the USMA and the ILA stems from disagreement in contractual terms and salaries. The ILA leadership has regularly claimed it wants fair wages, and this includes demands for a 77% increase in salary over the next 6 years. The union is also pushing to restrict the USMA from implementing technology in place of its workers and calling for a ban on the automation of devices used for cranes to move shipping containers and other machines.
Okay, did you hear what's in this going on? You see, I stopped it. Where did I stop it at? Read it. AI. I told y'all this a while back. I made a video about this already, that the AIs were taking over. Technology is taking over. This is one of the main things that's happening right now across the United States, around the globe. Technology is not going to just take the fast food workers. It's taking everybody's jobs. I mean, everybody. The singers, the rappers, the influencers, people on social media, we're not safe either. I've talked about this already, that everybody's jobs is up for grabs by technology. This is very important for the people who wants to talk about that the PDD is a distraction and we need to worry about the election. This is going to affect the election. This is very important. Y'all don't understand. This longshoreman strike is going to affect everybody, and these companies don't even care. These big business people who was billionaires, they do not care, because that's what they want to push is technology. Don't act like y'all don't know what's going on out here. Let me play this video here for you guys about the longshoremen's work strike could cost $5 billion a day.
Investopedia editor-in-chief Caleb Silver. Caleb, as you're listening to this breaking news, what is your reaction to the strike? And also, I'm going to ask you, what do you think the impact is going to be for Americans across this country?
Yeah, I'm in Charleston, South Carolina right now, about 5 minutes from that port, and it is a pretty busy port. It used to be one of the biggest ports for importing rice into this country, but it's going to have a massive impact, but it's not one that retailers and consumers haven't seen coming for a long time. These negotiations have been ongoing. The fact that they hit a standstill today, very interesting with the strike 2 days out, but the impact, according to a bunch of different investment banks, is somewhere to the degree of $5 to $6 billion a day, or 0.5% of GDP, but it depends on how long this lasts. If this is a prolonged strike that lasts several weeks or even into November, that's going to severely crimp the holiday shopping season. A lot of orders are coming in already. If you think about Christmas trees, if you think about apparel, if you think about electronics, they come into the eastern seaports. So a lot of retailers have already made arrangements to have their goods routed around to the West Coast ports where they do have a deal in place. That just means higher costs, though, and more time. Guess who pays those higher costs? Consumers, because retailers tack those costs onto us as we go into the holiday shopping season.
That's what I wanted to ask you. So somebody's waking up, looking at this news. Is there anything they can do to insulate themselves from the effect of this?
Yeah, a lot of people have already started the holiday shopping season early, and that's pretty much happens every single year now. We already had Summerween, but the holiday shopping season is already underway. As soon as we get into October, you know you're going to see those Christmas trees, those decorations. So pre-order if you want, if you're concerned that your goods aren't going to make it, or decide that you're going to wait it out and be okay with a potentially higher price or not getting your item. But a lot of people are making those orders right now. When you think about the things that come into the eastern seaports, it's a lot of apparel, it's a lot of food, right? And a lot of that already has tariffs on it. So think about increased costs for each of those items. We're not talking about a doubling in cost, but we're talking about a percentage increase in each of those items. So things are going to get more expensive. The supply chain is going to get pinched again. Remember, we went through that in 2021 and 2022. You wonder where a lot of that inflation came from. It came from government stimulus, and it came from a supply chain that couldn't handle all these goods coming through our ports and through our airports.
Caitlin talked about it a little bit. Any chance the government can step in to alleviate this situation in some way? There's been talk about whether President Biden can issue some sort of executive action, because we are dealing with kind of a tumultuous situation at this point. Anything you anticipate, anything kind of precedent like this?
There's definitely a precedent, and we've seen the government and the president step in and to avert strikes and order those that were on strike to come back to work. I do not think it's going to happen just because we are in an election season and we're about 6-7 weeks out from a major decision here. So when the government steps into that, they step into a bigger pile, so to speak. That said, I do think that we'll probably see some negotiation and resolution, because the workers on the West Coast ports have already reached a deal. That's what a lot of these workers on the East Coast, the Teamsters, want. They want a similar deal to what was reached on the West Coast. So there is some marker out there for what a deal could look like going forward. I expect negotiations to continue. It wouldn't be crazy to see the president step in and order the stoppage of the work stoppage, but I don't expect it because of the election being so close to where we are today.
And we can't anticipate an 11th hour deal. This looks like it might be happening. And then the question becomes what the trickle down effects. You talked about it a little bit, but, you know, one of the things that we were planning on talking about today until the breaking news was the idea of, you know, people are spending, even though there's high credit card debt right now, even though we have a high unemployment rate. If this strike happens, that unemployment rate's going to go up, right?
It's going to go up, but the unemployment rate, and just to put it in historical context, we're at somewhere around 4.2%. Full employment in this country is between 3.5% and 4%. We're just a little bit higher than that. And the way we survey for people about whether or not they're working is still pretty antiquated. I know you know that we had 810,000 job revisions just for the month March to March time period, because it's an inexact science. That said, the labor market is still relatively strong right now, even though unemployment has been rising and we've seen mounting layoffs in different sectors, but we're still pretty close to full employment. This is about 40,000 workers. It will drive the unemployment rate higher because survey, those people will say they're not working. It's not going to drive us into 4.5%, 5%, which is a red alert zone. Right now, we're still in a pretty good spot in terms of the labor market.
Now, this was on News Nation. This was 3 days ago, but I want to show you what's going on recently with the strike right now. So it says, post-strike, how much does the union boss leading the charge make? And then it talks about how Daggett is leading the dock workers strike, demanding fair compensation and protection from automation. Automation is what I was talking about, what the guy was talking about earlier in the other video about the technology taking over. That's what they're talking about. So as of right now, they're on strike because this is October the 2nd and it's now October the 3rd. So they're already on strike already as it is. So let me go ahead and play this for you guys.
Workers at East Coast and Gulfport started walking off the job today. Lydia Hu at the Newark port in Newark, New Jersey. You're on at the picket lines, I should say. What are the workers telling you?
Yeah, hey there, Stuart. They tell me that the reason why they are striking is that their wages are not keeping up with the cost of living. They tell me they're worried about inflation, and they're looking around and seeing the record contracts that unions are scoring for workers across the country, and they're also looking at the major big bucks, the billions of dollars that the shipping companies have been making in recent years using the very ports like here in New York and New Jersey where these workers work, and they want a slice of that. You can see here hundreds of union workers gathered here to picket today. The port tells us they're prepared for upwards of 5,000 workers to join them. I had a chance to talk to the president of the International Longshoremen's Association earlier, Harold Daggett. I asked him, what is it going to take for him to get back to the bargaining table? Remember, Stuart, just yesterday he rejected an offer of a 50% wage increase over 8 years. He says he's asking for a $5 wage hike across the board for 6 years for all of his workers. Here's more of what he told me about the shipping companies. Listen to this.
They're money crazy, but there's not one company that belongs to the United States, but they want to get rid of our jobs out of the United States. $5 across the board for 6 years or better. We don't ever want to see an automation pier put over here in the United States. The chain is being broke now. Cars won't come in.
And Stuart, this is just day one of the strike. Of course, now the question is, how long will this last? These roughly 45,000 workers not going back to the job all along the East Coast and the Gulf Coast, and who will be left footing the bill? The estimated cost to the economy, Stuart, between $3.8 billion and $5 billion per day. That's significant.
Okay, so another important thing that was brought out here was about jobs. Jobs are going somewhere else. They're not staying in the United States. They're going somewhere else for cheaper labor. We already know this. Also, I want to give you a little information as to why they do this. So the benefits of U.S. manufacturing. This is according to the York Saw and Knife Company Incorporated. It says when businesses look for a location to manufacture their products, they naturally want a place that will provide them with savings. Let me read that part again. They naturally want a place that will provide them with savings, quality, and fast turnaround time. To this end, they often move their facilities abroad where labor and production costs tend to be cheaper. That is the whole point of them moving the jobs across to other countries. And then I looked it up. The main places that where United States jobs go to is either India, Malaysia, and China. Just to put that out there, so if you was wondering what this whole thing is about, what they're talking about, this is what they're talking about. We have discussed this for years. Another thing too, I've talked about this channel already in the past, was the cost of living has gone up. Also, there's more homeless people on the street. There is not really much of a help coming from the government for people who are disabled. I already gave this example already with my father. Other people who need help in America right now, they're not getting the help that they need right now. And this is why I say, when y'all talk about election, these are the things that should be coming up in the election, but it's not. They kept talking about the abortion law, and it's like, okay, I get it. People want to have control over their bodies, but this is more important. This is affecting a lot of people. This is going to affect a lot of people. And like I said, he talked about the automation.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth.
Hi, I'm Robotic.
Nice to meet you.
Likewise.
This is a humanoid robot, which means it looks, it talks, and it even acts, well, like a human. So does that mean it could take a human's job like mine?
You better believe it. No, I'm only joking, not really.
There's no denying robots and automation are increasingly part of our daily lives. Just look around the grocery store or the highway, or in the case of Robothespian here, even at the theater.
I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain.
The rise of robots has led to some pretty scary warnings about the future of work.
Robots will be able to do everything better than us.
A recent study found up to 670,000 U.S. jobs were lost to robots between 1990 and 2007, and that number is likely to go up. A widely cited study from 2013 found nearly half of all jobs in the U.S. are in danger of being automated over the next 20 years. Occupations that require repetitive and predictable tasks in transportation, logistics, and administrative support were especially high risk. And just think, robots don't need health benefits, vacation, or even sleep for that matter. But the debate over whether robots will take over all of our jobs is by no means settled. Many economists argue automation will ultimately create new jobs. After all, someone has to program the robots, right? Let's go back to the 1850s, when trains were the most popular mode of transportation. This chart shows the number of locomotive engineers, railroad conductors, and brakemen increasing by nearly 600%. But that growth slowed in the early 1900s. Why? You guessed it, the automobile came along. Car mechanic and repairman jobs surged. even though railroad jobs began to disappear. And some companies say the same thing will happen when robots move into the marketplace. A survey of 20,000 employers from 42 countries found that the IT, customer service, and advanced manufacturing industries will add workers over the next 2 years as a result of automation. It's hard to imagine that robots could replicate human characteristics like empathy or compassion that are required in many jobs. I mean, would you really want a robot as your nurse, babysitter, or teacher? But even if robots don't take our jobs entirely, research shows they will significantly change day-to-day tasks in the workplace. This is particularly a problem for lower-skilled workers who aren't able to retrain for new jobs. They might get stuck with lower wages in a world with more robots, and that could make income inequality even worse. These guys are making a lot of things uncertain right now, but one thing that's clear is skills training is required if we hope to get along with friends like them in the workplace.
I think we're going to get along just fine.
That is about the technology coming in, replacing jobs. You know, when I was in FedEx, I don't know when they're going to do it, but they were talking about, robots and stuff was going to come in and help the company. Kroger already has robots helping them already.
Nestled in the hills of Lake County sits a 375,000 square foot building of groundbreaking grocery shopping technology. Welcome to the Kroger Delivery Fulfillment Center in Groveland, Florida. For almost a year now, Kroger has been changing the way Floridians shop for food. Inside what they call the Hive is a hustling, bustling, conveyor belt type operation where robots rule the aisles. Here's how it works. You download the Kroger app or use their website to shop for your food. 32,000 different items at competitive prices. If it's at a brick and mortar grocery store, it's on here too. Now, when you push the buy button, your order gets sent here to the building that could fit 15 grocery stores inside of it. A robot then takes your order and processes it, according to General Manager Brandon McBurney.
We got several hundred bots that are working in an automated retrieval system that really just helps us efficiently bring the product to the picker quickly, and so that we can process that order 6 times faster than a normal process time in store. The beauty is we use automation with combination of humans, so we actually have almost 1,200 employees here in our network. And so the bots actually just help us bring them to the picker, so the picker stands stationary, and then all the items come to them efficiently. So they are the ones putting the bag. So you don't have a bot putting it in the bag for you, but you have somebody touching your items with care.
The Kroger Fulfillment Center has an enormous produce processing area. Nothing goes to waste, extra goes to charity. And the freezer, it's minus 10 degrees inside that box, with more than 7,000 frozen goods. Once all of the items from your order are gathered up, they get professionally packed into the delivery truck. It's always the right temperature in these things. 34 degrees for the refrigerator items, and dry ice keeps your frozen food from melting on the trip. A trip that can be up to 90 minutes from any fulfillment center in Florida. Besides Groveland, Kroger's got one in Tampa, Jacksonville, and coming soon, Miami. And chew on this, Kroger charges only $9.95 for the delivery. No tipping allowed.
It's $9.95 for one delivery, or we also have a delivery savings patch, which is $79.99 for unlimited grocery delivery for the entire year, as long as you spend $35 for each order.
You don't even have to be home for your order to get dropped off. The grocery shopping of tomorrow is finally here today. In Lake County, David Martin, Fox 35 News.
So, like I said, the jobs are picking up, going across the seas for cheaper labor, and then you have the technology coming in. This is going to leave people without a job. This is going to be, they don't want to pay people extra money because they're already winning. That's why I say these big businesses, they're already winning. So it says 5 things you need to know about the post strike. So one of them is longshoremen are seeking better pay, automation protection. That's one of them. A week-long strike could hit economy hard. That is very true. Strike puts Biden in a tough spot with labor.
And now the latest on the 45,000 dock workers currently striking at ports across the East and Gulf coasts. The White House is now backing the demonstration, with the Biden administration ramping up pressure on U.S. port employers to raise their offer and step up to the table. The president commented on the strike earlier today. Take a listen.
We're getting pushback already. We're hearing from the folks regionally that they're having trouble getting the product they need because of the port strike. And the owners are making tens of millions of dollars from this. The last thing they need is to profit off of this. It's time for them to sit at the table and get this strike done.
The International Longshoremen's Association says the dock workers they represent deserve a significant pay raise, increased contributions to their retirement plan, and a say in the role of automation in their field. The union has halted shipments of goods across 36 ports, ranging from Maine to Texas, with some analysts saying the demonstration could cost the economy billions per day. The strike is the first time in decades this many dock workers have taken to the picket lines. It comes 34 days before a neck-and-neck presidential election, raising concerns it may affect how voters decide to cast their ballots in November.
The Taft-Hartley option. Strike follows big wins for labor unions, and that's what you need to know. So I'll put this article down below so you can read it for yourself, but this is very important. Now, this is the question that a lot of people are saying, well, how is this going to hurt us? Like, I don't get it. How can this affect me? So there's a, how could this affect me? We've already been hearing it over and over and over again, but let me play it for you. And then I'm also going to play another video for you guys about how the longshoreman strike can impact the election. The same election that people was chanting when during the PDD, you know, when PDD was locked up and everybody kept asking, oh, this is a distraction. And did you guys vote? Well, this is more important. This is what you guys need to be talking about.
Well, tens of thousands of workers at ports from New England to Texas are on the picket line tonight after contract negotiations failed to produce a deal.
Yeah, the International Longshoremen's Association, which represents 45,000 union workers, called the strike overnight. Now, this could cost the economy hundreds of millions of dollars a day, delay shipments for everything from cars, furniture, alcohol, and pharmaceuticals.
Joining me now is Kevin Kettles. He's an associate professor of global supply chain management at the Ilitch School of Business at Wayne State. Kevin, thanks for being with us. We want to, first off, get some context of the impact that this is going to have, and it could be huge.
Yes, there are products all across every sector. This is 3/5 of the products that are coming into the United States: cars, food, coffee, bananas. Could be billions of dollars, in fact. It will have a very large impact if this goes on for an extended period of time.
Talk about some of the goods that we could immediately see that are impacted in this.
Yeah, cars, food, coffee, bananas, furniture, clothing, metals, chemicals, all across the board. We have a lot of products that are that come by ship on the East Coast. 3/5 of what coming into the United States comes through these ports. So there's not a lot that we can do to prevent shortages, job loss if this happens for an extended period of time.
Sure. Talk about why the employees are striking, and it has more to do with just wages. They're talking a lot about automation as well. Tell us about that.
Right. They want increased wages, but they also want to protect their jobs. And so one of the things that they've indicated is that they're concerned about automation taking those jobs. And so there's this tension that exists between technology and the need to have people gainfully employed. And so they're going to have to work this out. Over time, I think employers are going to want to more and more utilize technology, and they're going to want to protect their jobs. And so this will be up to the collective bargaining process to see what they can work out this time, but it will be a constant tension and struggle that I think will exist.
Do you see the strike affecting holiday shopping? I know a lot of people start to do that earlier and earlier these days. Amazon has already announced its Prime Day, and other places got Christmas stuff out already. Do you see it impacting that?
Well, a lot of companies and retailers knew that this contract was going to be up, and so they pre-ordered a lot of these products, and they tried to get more that were in before this strike could take place. So it shouldn't be impacted too much as long as the strike doesn't last too long. But the longer it lasts, the more retailers it could potentially impact.
Just really quickly before we go, Kevin, any idea how long you think this will go on?
I know everybody involved doesn't want it to last very long. Everyone wants to get a good deal out of this, the employers and the longshoremen. But certainly the Biden administration doesn't want to see this go for a long time. I'm hoping that it's days and certainly not weeks when it could have a devastating effect on the U.S. economy.
Yeah, absolutely. An economy that's already struggling thanks to inflation and so many other things going on around the world. Kevin, we appreciate you talking with us so much. Take care.
Thank you, Kimberly.
All right, so I don't need to explain what happened. They already explained to you what's going to happen with the economy. Everything's going to be holed up over here on the East Coast. It sounds like the West Coast already got their deals. It sounds like it's the East Coast, if I'm not mistaken, and they're already on strike. Because I already know this about Miami. Miami, I live in Florida, is already on strike. And I don't live in Miami, but I live in the rural areas of Florida. But I already know that they're on strike. So now we're gonna first. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play about how this is going to affect the election.
The November election, because we have already seen Vice President Kamala Harris struggle a little bit with the union vote. We saw Teamsters not making an endorsement in the same way they have before. And there are rumblings about pollings within Teamsters about how individual members are polling more for former President Trump than Vice President Harris. There's really a kind of a difference in how unions are breaking for the two political parties this year. How does a dock workers strike affect that group of voters and beyond?
Well, I mean, just keep in mind, yes, the Teamsters, as you said, have decided not to endorse a candidate. At the same time, many local Teamster units and groups within the Teamsters have endorsed Vice President Harris, and other unions have remained steadfast in their support for the administration. So you don't see spillover from the kind of decision that Teamsters came to. Major unions, the UAW, the SCIU, the American Federation of Teachers, they've all come out with strong support for Vice President Harris. And even more importantly, they've vowed and are setting in motion steps to help bring out the vote of their membership. You know, I think that's going to matter as an issue in that I think that contributes to the reluctance on the part of President Biden and Vice President Harris to directly intervene and call a halt to the strike, but they're going to work hard to try and bring the parties together and get this solved before the election. There's going to be enormous pressure from them and from other parties to get this resolved within a couple of weeks.
When you talk about that other pressure, so obviously we have the political pressure, and you mentioned durable goods like cars. Will the United Auto Workers Association step in? Is it the GMs of the world that will say, hey, you're really messing our supply chain? Is the pressure more going to come from from corporations or from other unions? Or if consumers get mad enough, would consumer pressure move the needle there? Historically speaking, is there one group that has more power here than another?
Well, I think the businesses that rely on commerce are going to put pressure on the Maritime Association, the management there. I think initially the Longshore Union will get support from other unions. The other unions are going to cheer them on, go for it. We'll be at your back. But over time, if this strike were to last, and there were severe economic consequences that start affecting not only firms, but workers in other industries, then you're going to see more informal pressure. Again, it's not that the other employers who rely on commerce or the other unions can directly intervene to try and stop the strike, but there can be lots of informal pressure, and I suspect that will build over time.
Okay, so there's a lot of videos out. Go check them out. Look them up yourself. But this is what I'm saying. These are things that I have talked about. I said if things don't get better in the United States, it's going to be more strikes. People have already talked about this already. When I hear people say that, the Diddy conversation is a distraction, well, how about you go watch something different? How about go watch videos that people already talked about the political views? I've talked about the political views on this channel. I talked about the economy, the minimum wage and all that other stuff. I talked about the cost of living, all of that on the channel. I kid you not, that stuff does not get pushed. Also, I talked about the weather as well, that the weather is out of control. I mean, we have seen that with Hurricane Helene. I have a friend right now, as I speak, she has to go move to another state because she has no lights. She still has no lights after the storm. So a lot of people were like, well, why didn't these people run for cover when when Helene had came. Helene didn't hit the coast. It hit inland. It hit in the land, which it skipped us, but it hit inland, in the inner cities, the inland, not the outland. So a lot of people, they don't quite understand what's going on out here. Yeah, a lot of y'all are looking at these blogs and y'all sitting here talking about, oh, did y'all vote underneath a Diddy post? Y'all asking if everybody vote. Well, are y'all not asking everybody about what's going on with these strikes? You know, what's going on with the people who after Hurricane Helene? Nobody really cares about that. They only care about you going voting for people that doesn't even have your best interests. I'm gonna just say that. I already said this already. It doesn't matter who you pick, who you vote for. We still gonna have issues in the United States. We have to discuss what's going on in the United States. The immigrants, the cost of living. You know, how much money are you making on your jobs? Also, another thing too is education. I talked about that too on this channel. That a lot of the kids are not. They don't really care about going and getting a higher education and getting a better paying job. They're worrying about being TikTok stars. They're worrying about being Twitch stars. They're worrying about being social media influencers. A lot of these kids really don't care about going to be a longshoreman working on the dock. They don't care about doctors or technology. They don't care about none of that. Even though they have a cell phone, they still don't, or have a tablet where they can record them dancing or whatever they're doing for social media. They still don't care about technology. They still, all they're worrying about is being on TikTok, being on the gram, being an Instagram influencer, but they don't even care about going to college for that, for that type of career in technology. And let's keep it 100 with college while we're on this conversation. I don't even have to look this up. I know people right now who went to college and graduated. They're saying they're not even getting paid that much in the field that they went to college for. So it was a waste of time. One of them is coding. It's a waste of time. Because now they're saying in the future, they're going to have kids do the coding. So it's a lot of things that we need to discuss when it comes to college, about how people get in debt. And then when they still come out, they can't find a career. And when they do find their career to work in, it's not paying that much money. That's another thing. Military, another conversation. There's a lot of things that we need to discuss. Just talking about who you're going to vote for, that's not the topic. The topic should be what's going to happen after the election. Okay? Let's keep it 100. There is a lot of things that we need to discuss. And I'm just tired of people talking around it. And they're just, oh, well, who are you going to vote for? No. What's going to happen after the election is my question. Is these things going to be solved? Is technology going to take over? Are we going to have good paying jobs where we can afford to live? Because what I'm seeing is I'm seeing more and more people in their vans. I'm just saying. I'm seeing more and more people living in their vans. But let's see if this video is going to get pushed to the algorithm. It probably won't, because it's not celebrity gossip. Like I state, you guys only watch celebrity gossip. Nobody cares about these conversations. But yeah, astronaut, let me know what you think down below the video. But astronaut, see y'all later. Peace.
Fendi and Adana, Karen, they be sharing all their money, got me wearing fly. Girl, but I ain't asking. They say they love my ass in 7 jeans, true religion. I say no, but they keep giving, so I keep on taking. And no, I ain't taking. We can keep on taking. I keep on demonstrating my love, my love, my love, my love. You love my lady lumps, my hump, my hump, my hump. My humps, they got you.